Progeny here. Today I'm recording a video to show you kind of how to set up a database from scratch. So when you're starting out fresh, you typically get a database from Progeny, which is the one I'm looking at here, which is a Progeny 10 demo, heavily cancer specific. It does have some useful stuff other than the cancer stuff, but if you're working on something else, like neurology or rare diseases or something like that, you're going to need some extra information and sort of extra place to store things. So how do you do that? Well, let's start out. Let's just jump into one of the cancer pedigrees and show you what you have to start out with. Typically, you'll have a pedigree here. It's showing some icons, some subtext relating to cancer, of course. If you then jump into a particular patient, datasheet here, very cancer focused. You'll see a cancer history tab here, smoking history, things like that. You'll also have one pretty useful first tab, which is general information. So patient information, date of birth, date of death, things like that, visit records. Typically that's pretty useful. But, if you're not interested in cancer, where do you start? Well, if you're lucky, you'll have a colleague or a collaborator who will have a Progeny database that you can inherit. If you're working in cardio or neurology, we do have some databases there that we can distribute as well. So you can come to our support and ask us for that. Or you have to kind of go back to the beginning and start to actually create those folders yourself. So you'll see here, I'm in the desktop client of Progeny 10. I'm going to click down to this tab here, which is the fields tab. Mine will look a little different to yours because I've been messing around and creating fields and doing all sorts, but yours should be fairly compact. So I'm just going to do a new folder and I'm going to work on neurology for today as I've had a request for this. So I've got a neurology folder. Oh, I've created it as a subfolder. Let me just drop that so it's root. Yes, like so. So here's my neurology folder. I'm going to go ahead and create some fields for this. So now obviously you can call these whatever you like. If you see here, we have a number of different fields. These are pretty standard: text, dates, numbers, checkboxes, drop downs. You can have images. Then there's a couple of different types of tables, computations, some summary fields, and also hyperlink field. For the moment, I'm just going to do a drop down. I'm just going to add some values for this. Now, of course, you'll be putting in your own values. You'll notice here there's load list. So if you have a list of diseases in a text file, you can actually just load these in as well. See, like so, add that. And I'm then going to do a number form. So neuro score 1 and neuro score 2. So if you're doing sort of a cognitive test, you can add in scores like this, for example. I'll do a test result, which will be a hyperlink to a document, like so. And why not just do an aggregated score as well? So just to show you how to use computed fields very, very briefly. So that will be a computation. I'm simply just going to do something simple, like neuroscore 1 plus neuroscore 2. That'll simply add those two number values together, like so. So you'll see now, if I close this, I have got 5 fields. I want to go back to the data sheet. So I'm just, instead of going and opening the pedigree, I'm just going to open up an individual here. And you'll see we've got all of these tabs. I don't like these tabs. I want to keep the first one, but the rest, I'm just going to go into form design here, go delete tab, and so on, until I have no more tabs. So I'm back to just the patient information tab. Then I'm going to add on a new tab of mine. Bear in mind, you can organize your fields any way you like. So I'm just going to have a single neurology tab in this case, but you could have, as we did with cancer, multiple tabs here. So we have the tab open, completely blank. I want to start bringing in my fields. So click fields, let's go to where my neurology folder is. And in this case, I'm just going to simply lasso them all, just like if you were working in Windows Explorer. drag and drop them in like so. You'll see they're actually already formatted the way I want. So I can drop this here, neurology field 1. I'd like the test scores to be next to it. Here's test 2. I'm going to do the aggregated score result. And you can see I'm going to do like so. I can also add a text at the top. So I can do neurology information like so. Expand that out a little. Just drag that up to the top of the screen. So that basically is how I've created a new tab. I can now go into data entry form. I can also, at this point, go and save this format. I'm going to do that. So I'm going to save this. I'm not going to save it as cancer pedigrees. I'm just going to save it as neurology pedigrees, so I don't overwrite my cancer format. And here I can start entering data. So here's my drop down, disease B or C. Let's go 5 and 6. If I actually just right click here and refresh, it'll ask me to save that. And here you can see 5 plus 6 does indeed equal 11. And I can also browse to a file as well. So let's go to any file. I'm just going to use Google Chrome in this case. Not a particularly exciting thing, but that just gives you a good example. So now we have a datasheet format ready to go for neurology. Obviously, you're going to have more fields in this, but this is just a brief example. So I'm going to close that, save changes to that data. And this time I'm actually going to go into the root here. I'm actually going to create a new folder, neurology, to separate from cancer. I'm going to set the smart drawer and the pedigree properties. And I'm also going to go in here to the individual datasheet and say, actually, for this folder, I want the standard to be neurology. Load that in. And I save that. And I now have my own neurology folder. I'm just going to briefly create a new pedigree, test neuro, which I'm going to open on save. So I save that. And I'm going to briefly do male, female, just a quick pedigree. Okay, so we've got a quick pedigree here. I'm going to save that. I'm going to go into the proband. I'm going to go and see the neurology tab is already there. I'm going to do that. They have disease A, 10, and 11. I'm going to save that data. I'm also going to go into one of our children, give them different disease, 12 and 14, and save that data. So now, actually also I'm going to go onto the personal information and give these people a name just so I can have a little bit of more information on the datasheet. So I save that, close that, go back to this guy here, Paul Jones. Just wanted to have his name showing as well. Save the data. Okay, so I have a little information now for this pedigree. So the next thing I want to do is create a subtext and symbols format. I do that by clicking icons, and this brings me straight to the subtext page. So what I'm going to do here is go to PHI data, go first name, last name. I want them next to each other, so I'm going to do 1, 0, and 1. Oops, 1, 1, like so. I also wanted to bring in their aggregated score as the next value. I can do that. Okay, I'm going to save this format, understandably. I'm going to save this as neuro, like so. Okay, that's great. So if I smart draw that, I'm also, one thing I always hate, always comes up here with subtext legend. I'm going to click get rid of show subtext legend. And you'll see, so we're showing first name, last name, aggregated score. And with symbols, I'm going to do the same. I now want to show the different diseases. So we have 3. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to create very brief icons for this. So if that equals disease A, disease B, disease C, I'm just going to put A, B, and C here. Just so you can, just so I can show you, I could also do aggregated score. If they've got a score of more than 20, I can show an additional icon. Let's choose something colorful. So I'll choose that little red circle. like so. I'm going to apply that. It wants me to save it again, which I will do. So I'm just going to choose neuro, like so. And then you'll see I now have the icons. So you can see A and B are showing up for different icons, and that central score of more than 20 is showing up as well. So that's very briefly how you are going to create the new fields, how you're going to create a data sheet, and then get it applying to a new pedigree. This is the core of what you can do with Progeny. There's a lot more we can show to you. I'm going to do some more videos soon. So if you have any requests, just drop me a line. But for now, thank you very much.